the good part is that anytime shit like this happens, it's YouTube. It's not anything you or I have done wrong.
Right. Hello, hello, everybody. We're live. We're back. Holy crap. What's been going on? We got Clifford is here, and Tim, and Peter, and Pete, and Sandy's here too. Hello. This is the show. The show is the show. Everything that's in the show is the show. The show is the show. Everything that's in the show is.
Oh, is that you?
Yeah, I just had
sure
to
it was
stop.
working?
Yeah, stop the window. Hey, Penny, how you been? I haven't seen you in quite a long while. Right. So, Christian's here. Housework, man. Oh God, tell me about it. Housework, housework, housework.
You can relate to that, right?
Yeah, like that's my life right now is housework. You guys have seen some of the progress, but I'll give you guys a quick update. So if you don't know, my wife and I bought a house. Wait, yes, Jason, we're here on YouTube again. So this is...
We're a glutton for punishment.
Please pick a platform. So here's what I'm thinking, Jason. This is what I want to do. I do want to do some streaming on YouTube because it's good for helping with the growth of my channel. So my plan, assuming that everything continues to work as normal, is that we will do this show on YouTube, and then all editing and photo shoots will be on Twitch. So that's what I think is going to happen. And it'll keep changing, but...
Yeah, I think the last show we switched to Twitch at the last minute just because YouTube wasn't cooperating.
Yes,
but
yes.
We're trying to keep it here, but
yes.
If YouTube continues to be a bitch, then we'll end up having to switch.
Yeah, and currently YouTube is cooperating. So except for the rando sign out that happened literally just before we started the show. But... yeah, so what has everybody been up to? It's been months since we've done this. I've chatted with some of you, on Messenger and things like that. But what's going on? Like, let us know. What have you been up to for the last, like, 3 months?
Photography or not.
Yeah, photography or not. If you don't know, I've been renovating the house that we bought. We've made a ton of progress. We're still not there yet, but we're getting close. We're in, like, the finishing stage. We're doing things like painting, trim, painting walls, and things of that nature. I'm putting up light fixtures. The floors are all finished. So, like, we're in the home stretch. But that's still, the home stretch is a long stretch. Leroy just joined us. How you doing, Leroy? Hey, Alexis. Building a portfolio and contract is what I've been up to. Excellent. Contracts are good to have in place. Hey, Judy just joined us too. So, Mark, what have you been up to?
Oh, I don't know about anybody else in the world, but we had Christmas here, so it was good. It was nice to have a break off work for a week.
Mm-hmm.
But that being said, the first day off, work called me and I had to go into work. So
oh, jeez.
that was exciting, but I had to go in for a couple of hours, but because they called me and I got paid for 4, so that was all right.
Oh, that's not
Can't
bad.
complain about that. But,
mm-hmm.
but I think between the last show we did, I've done a couple of small shoots. I've met this one new model that I've worked with, and we're planning on working together a couple more times. She was fun to work with, and
Mm-hmm.
So we're working on that. Photography-wise, not a lot really other than that. And I did some family portraits, but that was my own family, so that the wife would get off my back about that. She's been bugging me for a good 6 months,
Mm-hmm.
if not longer. So it turned out good. Everybody is happy.
Right. That's
Yeah.
one good thing. Like, my wife and I, like, we don't care. I mean, it's just the two of us, and
Right.
we don't do family portraits, so I don't get bugged
my
about
wife
that.
does scrapbooking, so she likes to have all these things, so she has something to play around with.
Yeah, which is good.
Yeah,
All right.
and our part of the world, which I think you're the same thing. We had one hell of a cold snap here. I see Peter commenting about wishing he had some snow, but we were down in Celsius ways. We're down minus 25, minus 30 degrees, and lots of snow. But just today, it actually warmed up, and most of the snow melted.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say to Jason, who's wishing he had snow, come visit me here in Wisconsin, because it is currently It is snowing like crazy right now. And you know, this is always the joke about like Wisconsin or Midwest weather. You know, like you get all 4 seasons in a day, but we actually did have that today. So this morning, it was 40 degrees out. The sun was shining. The snow was melting. It was raining for a little while. And then it got cold, and all of that rain started turning to ice, and then it started snowing like crazy. And so we're currently kind of in the middle of a blizzard after we essentially had a spring thaw. So
Yeah, those are always fun.
Yeah. Hi, hello to Jim.
It's so cold in this area that even Florida one day had snow, and that's definitely a rarity for them.
Yeah, that's definitely pretty rare. I got to say hello to Roman Photography Studios, who's joining us, and Jim is here as well, and Mark MC. Hello, everybody. And I think I said hello to Alexis, but I want to make sure that I did. I was going to say something else. Hello from Romania, Alexandra.
Yeah, nice.
Thanks for joining us. So cold the moose move indoors. I think that's a Canada joke.
Yeah. I know that the one day they were calling it to be so cold that the day before I heard the forecast, and I actually booked the day off work so I wouldn't have to leave the house.
Oh yeah. Yeah, hold on, I'm just doing a quick audio level adjustment here. Oh, and I didn't realize that the chat was missing out of the main window. I just fixed that up too. Okay, so that should take care of that, making a couple of tweaks here to the stream so you guys can actually see things. All right, I heard it snowed in the Sahara. Yeah, I saw some of the photos of that, the snow in the Sahara a couple days ago. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, on the peak of some of the sand dunes that I heard, yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty neat.
That's crazy.
All right, so today we wanted to chat because it's a new year, and at the beginning of a new year people typically do goals and or resolutions. I think we actually did this last year, so this is kind of the second annual version of this, where we wanted to talk about what it takes to be successful as a photographer, and specifically learn what your goals are for the year 2018, and offer any advice and help that we can to help you get to those goals.
I'd also be interested in hearing people who had goals last year, whether they actually accomplished their goals.
Oh yeah, that's and
what the goals were. So
that's really good. In fact, let's start with that. So let's start with that. Put in the chat what your 2017 photography goal was, or goals, and if you accomplished them, and if not, like what were the obstacles that you ran into with that? How did yours go, Mark?
I really only had one goal that I was really striving for, because typically, as people who know me know, that I don't like winter. So usually in like January, February, especially those 2 months, I'm terrible for not taking any photos, just because I don't want to go outside and I just can't get into it. So my goal last year was to make sure that each and every month I took some photos, like something, not just like a snapshot, but some actual real photos that were worthy of calling a photo, basically. And that was my main goal, and I'm proud to say that I did actually accomplish that.
Excellent.
But that being said as well too, I think last year, overall volume-wise of photos was probably lower than normal. But that being said, I think I was getting better quality over quantity. So, so to me, that's a win, because I'd rather have fewer great photos and a bunch of not so great photos.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that's a good goal, to go for quality over quantity. And in fact, in the video that I just put out this past Tuesday, if you haven't watched it already, I talked about crafting a photography project or photography challenge, and the fact that when you set one up, one of the things that you should be thinking about is the fact that ideally you want to set up a challenge that challenges you, and that you spend time trying to craft images that you're proud of, rather than just running out to shoot the photo and say, okay, I shot my photo of the day, because it's a thing you have to do.
Right.
So I always kind of try to work on that same idea too. I think about that when I'm shooting, and I even think about that when I'm editing, and I think about that with when I'm culling my images. I always prefer to go fewer and better rather than more, and more that may not be more in my opinion is going to dilute the quality of the really good stuff that you have.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right. So Jason says he was just getting started in photography in 2017. Didn't even think to set a goal last year, but he says, I do have a 1 year and a 3 year goal. So let us know what the 1 and the 3 year goals are. Alexis, his goal, sorry, I can't see the avatar. Alexis, I don't want to.
I think it's a girl.
I think okay, Alexis.
If not, we apologize.
Yes, apologize for the misgendering there. If I did, I apologize for that. Goal for 2018 is to build clientele, and 2017 was just to work on getting better, and I did still have a lot to learn. That's excellent. We all always have a lot to learn. So
you're always learning, and if you think you're as good as you're ever going to get, you're crazy.
Right. Alexis, what is your clientele? Like, what kind of jobs are you going after? Are you doing like product or portraits or wedding or something like that? Love to know like what your clientele is that you're looking for. Peter accomplished his goal. Says I wanted to upgrade to a modern-ish, he says, system with the Pentax K3. I think that's modern. Sure,
yeah, that's fairly modern.
Yeah,
there's a newer model, but there's absolutely nothing wrong with that camera.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, the K3 II now itself is a couple of years old, but the K3 is still a rock solid camera.
Yeah, absolutely. That'll 100%. Last forever.
So Jason says he saw the video that I did, hasn't filled out the form yet, but I printed it. Yeah, that counts for something. It's there. That means that you're closer to filling it out, and that's further than a lot of people have probably gotten. All right, I wanted to bring back up, let's see. Tim says, I didn't set any goals last year. This year, he's not sure. I'm hesitant to commit as I'm still learning, and I don't want to establish negative pressure on myself. No, that makes sense.
That totally makes sense.
Yeah, and Jim alluded to that, I think half jokingly, but also half serious up above, where he said, I resolved to make no resolutions. And that's what I was talking about in that video too. And Tim, I'm guessing you probably already watched it, but if not, definitely take a few minutes to watch it, because you don't want to put. You want to challenge yourself when you set a goal or create a photography challenge or whatever it is, but you also don't want to discourage yourself from pursuing this thing. This photography, whether it is something you are trying to pursue professionally, like Alexis is trying to build up clientele, or just as a hobby, as something that you love to do. You want to do something and love it and enjoy it and not make it tedium. So I totally understand that, Tim. And if if you don't have a goal, like, there's nothing wrong with that for anybody to not set goals. I know goals can be useful tools, but I also believe that goal setting can be detrimental to people. So I'm not a person who is like, you got to have goals, you got to have goals, you got to have goals.
Yeah.
What about you, Mark? How do you feel about that kind of thing?
I'm a person. I think having a goal is a good thing as long as it's a realistic goal.
Mm-hmm.
Like myself. Like I said, I had that goal for last year, and also I guess one of my other goals was to try and at least get a few YouTube videos done, which I did do. Which probably more than I did the year before, but either way. But for this year, I honestly have not really set myself a goal, just because. I think my goal is to maintain the same goal that I did last year, to make sure I shoot every month, and again, go for quality over quantity. And I'd like to try and get more business, but it's not something that's like burning in my loins. It's, oh yes, I absolutely have to do it. If I do it, great. If it doesn't happen, I'm not going to be disappointed. A friend of mine, he's got a goal, and I think it's a great goal. And basically, his goal is to shoot a roll of film every month.
Mm-hmm.
And he asked me if I wanted to join him with it, and I thought about it, but I know realistically it's probably something that I wouldn't do. So I don't, because I knew I probably wouldn't do it. I didn't want to set myself up to failure because the odds are that probably would have happened. I'd like to set something that, in my opinion, is more realistic for myself.
Right, right. That makes perfect sense. That makes perfect sense. I just have to pause for a moment. I have not heard anybody say burning in my loins in a very long time. That's a really good turn of phrase, though. So I just wanted to point that out. Now, Alexandra had a 2017 goal of having a baby and accomplished that. Congratulations on that.
Yeah,
I think that's amazing. And 2018 goal then is to learn as much as I can about newborn photography, Alexandra says. That's really awesome.
You've got a willing subject now.
Yeah, well, or unwilling, right?
Yeah, whatever the case is.
Yeah, but
that can make it part of a challenge because babies, you never know how they're gonna act. So using your own child to practice doing it might give you a good feel as to whether or not it's something you would or would not like to do.
Yeah, like if you're thinking beyond taking photographs of your own child for yourself and for your family, shooting your own child is definitely a good litmus test for yourself.
Yeah.
But I would ask, and maybe you've already said this, but I'm behind on the chat as usual. Alexandra, how have you had any challenges so far? Like, how is it going so far in taking the baby photos and the results that you're getting and the things that you're trying to do? Like, I'd love to know how it's going so far with that. Giorgio says, I did my first wedding in 2017, but did not spend enough time taking damn photos. I mean, with buying the house, I also didn't take as many photos as I probably would have liked to in 2017, but I took a lot of photos and I have a ton of stuff to edit. I just saw Sandy Gedry joined us. Sandy, I want to just let you know, I've gotten your emails. I apologize that I haven't answered yet. I'm behind on everything because of the house, so I'm not ignoring your emails, and I will answer them. I'm going to try to get caught up a bit on email this coming week/weekend. So I just want to pitch that out there to anybody who might be waiting for a response from me, because I'm kind of buried right now. But but anyway,
you're just working on a house. What kind of excuse is that?
Right, exactly. So we've got Jason said, this year I want to get something I feel is worthy of entering into a photo contest and then submitting to a contest within 3 years.
That's a very good goal.
I think it is too.
And not unrealistic.
Do you have a particular contest you're looking for, or just a contest in general that you're looking to shoot for?
Yeah, like particular genre or not.
Right. Let's see here. And then within 3 years, Jason says he wants to get to the point of doing some paid gigs. I think that's good. I would say too, I mean, not trying to pressure you, but you could even move that up faster, I bet, if you wanted to. But I think 3 years is a good reasonable timeline for something like that. So Alexis wants to do portraits and hopefully model and fashion photography. That's awesome. Alexis, like, generally speaking, if you don't want to share this, I totally understand, because some people like to keep their location not public on the internet. But like, generally speaking, where are you located? Because one of the things I would suggest, if you're not already doing this, is start looking for regional Facebook groups for models and or photographers. In fact, Mark, you were just telling me about a group that you joined. Was it a Facebook group?
Yeah, it's a Facebook group.
Okay.
Just for our local area. It's basically it's specifically for models and photographers.
Yeah. So if that's something you want to get into, if you're a Facebook user, I know not everybody is. I have a love-hate relationship with Facebook. It's mostly hate. But everybody uses it, so you kind of got to do it. But I definitely take a look for groups in your particular area and join the groups, even if you don't feel like you're ready to start shooting with models yet, because that'll at least let you start getting connected with different models and or photographers in your area.
Yeah, and sometimes the groups will have like a monthly or every couple of months just a get together, and like all the photographers go along, they bring their camera, and a couple of models show up, and you just kind of chit chat with them and take some shots here and there and sort of get you warmed up to the idea of shooting with a model if it's something that you don't do or don't do on a regular basis or haven't done before.
Yeah, that's another good thing. In fact, that's how I started shooting with models. And some of you might know this story already, but first I did a self-portrait project for a year. And that's another thing you could do, is start taking self-portraits. That's a good way to start practicing portraiture if you don't already have willing subjects that you can work with. So I did that for a year, and that helped me both get better and learn about shooting portraits, and it also helped me learn my lighting. And after I did that, I reached out to a few local photographers. Penny is here in the chat, and she's one of the local photographers that was part of this group. And we started meeting on a regular basis and just practicing together. Sometimes we were taking photos of each other. As we did it over time, we had people who were interested in modeling who came and joined us. And that allowed us all to practice the things that we wanted to practice. And it was a really, really great way to learn and grow and network too. So that's another thing you could look into doing. But I cannot stress enough the value of shooting self-portraits if you want to shoot portraits in general. I think it's really, really, really helpful. Jason asked how my bullet journal is going. It's going very well. I am going to be doing an upgraded, not upgraded, excuse me. I'm going to take a quick drink. Hey. Okay, sorry about that.
That time of the year.
Yeah. It's been going well. I've been using it every day. Because I'm new to it, it's still not a perfect habit, but I have been using it every day since I started the year, since I put that video online, and it has been helpful. It's definitely keeping me organized. Interesting thing happened today. And this didn't derail me entirely, but I did what I'm normally doing, which is I grab the journal in the morning, I review it, I set up my to-do list for the day, I transfer that to-do list into my phone, but then I left my phone with my wife. We just have one cell phone. And so I still had access to my reminders because I was at a computer and I can bring them up there. But it was different to not have my phone because that's the thing I go to keep track of and check up on the things that I need to do. So it was an interesting thing to have happen. But the journal's going good. I'm liking it, and I'm going to continue to stick with it as I committed to do at the beginning of the year. Classic Mama, hey, how's it going? So glad we are back. We are glad to be back. I'm very happy to be back.
Yep.
I really have missed doing this, chatting with you, Mark, chatting with all of you who come and join us every week. I think this is going to help probably mellow me a little bit because I've been a little bit frustrated lately with some of the house stuff too.
Yeah, well, you haven't even done that many of the live edits either. You did 2 last week, but that was the first time in a couple of months too, wasn't it?
Yeah, I haven't really been editing at all. So even when we get moved into the house, my biggest photography goal is actually going to be to get caught up on my 2017 editing because I'm so far behind. And then once I'm caught up, I'll start shooting in. Although I don't know exactly when because I don't know when we're going to move in. But once we get moved into the new house and I have the new studio set up, Angela and I are going to resume the live photo shoots. So I will be doing some shooting, but I'm not going to be scheduling anything outside of that with Angela until I'm caught up on my editing, because I'm just so far behind.
Yeah, it's so easy to fall behind too.
It is. Peter's goal for 2018 is simple, in quotes. He says, I'm going to take photos of humans in some sort of organized fashion for the first time. I've always shied away from taking photos of people. I understand that
can be a big challenge.
It can be a very big challenge, yeah. So, Peter, are you thinking, when you say in an organized fashion, can you clarify that a little bit? Because are you thinking more like street style photography where you're just going to be out and about and you'll take photos of people in the environment? Or are you actually thinking about approaching this as, like Alexis is, to try to shoot some portraits, deliberately work with people to shoot their portraits in some fashion? I'd be curious to know how you're going to try to approach it. Jim says it could be hazardous to your health. Mark MC's last year's goal was to learn to go full manual and knowing what I'm doing instead of leaving it up to the gods. This year I want quality. So how did that go last year, Mark? Do you feel more comfortable in manual then? Oh, yeah, and a little bit of chatting around the mental health. Peter was saying that he has been dealing a little bit with that, and I haven't shot much in the past 3 months. I'm getting better now, though, and with the Blab back, I think I'll get back to photography more again. I can see that. It's nice to have, and I've missed that, too, like just us chatting.
Bouncing things back and forth.
Bouncing things back and forth, chatting about photography. I miss shooting, too, but all of these little things help motivate us, and that's an important thing to recognize too when it comes to like setting your goals and trying to accomplish things is recognizing the triggers that can, how do I say this? Recognizing the triggers and the habits and the things that can push you away from what you want to try to accomplish, and the habits and the things that you can have in your life that will help push you towards the thing that you want to accomplish. Some of those things you can't control, right? Like if, as an example, if this is a thing that helps somebody regularly be motivated, Mark and I doing this and chatting with you guys, the fact that, you know, I bought a house and opted out of doing this for a couple of months so I could get caught up. You can't control that kind of thing, but
yeah,
you know, there's things you can control, and that can help with that.
I got booted out of the chat again.
Oh, alrighty.
Just fixing that now.
Sandy's goal is to learn how to use her speed light, and she's taking my flash photography course, and the emails that I have from Sandy are questions that I have to follow up with. So I feel bad about that, but I am going to get I am going to get caught up on those emails. I laugh because I just read Jason's comment. He quoting me when I said shooting your own child is a good litmus test. He says only in a photography chat. Very, very true. Christian says, I've only have used photography as a hobby that I sometimes got paid for. This year I'm going to start getting more work. That's excellent. I'm glad to hear that. Jason's going to go for the State Fair photo contest. Ooh, ha! Check this out. Alexis, what are you going to be doing around the end of February and the beginning of March? I'm going to put this out into the world at large, but I am actually going to be in Las Vegas for WPPI, which is end of February, beginning of March, and I'd love to try to do a meetup. And I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that a desert photo shoot is going to come together with my friend and fellow photographer Kimberly and Angela. And if that does come together, you can guarantee I'll be making a video of that photo shoot. So hit me if you're not connected with me, Alexis, already on Facebook. Get connected with me, and if you want to meet up and hang out a little bit in Vegas, I'd be happy to get together. Let's see. Alexander says, with the baby, things are going well. 4 months on the 23rd. That's awesome. And I've learned some new things with his help. I have a Nikon D3000, so I'm at the very entry level with the equipment, but the photos are okay. Yeah, and that's, you know, the equipment always feels like it's a limitation, and it can be a limitation at times, but the 3000 is a perfectly fine camera.
Yeah.
And honestly, what will help tremendously, as soon as you're comfortable enough with the camera and shooting in manual mode, getting some lighting and working with lighting will make huge improvements to the photos that you get. Way more than buying a new camera would give. Like, because buying a new camera, sure, technically will give you better photos because just by virtue of being a newer camera, you know, the quality and things like that of the images will be better just because of like technological advances and such. But getting lighting and learning how to use lighting once you're getting a handle on your camera, it's huge difference in your photos. It's like just enormous difference. I have to itch my ear. Would you agree with that, Mark?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I was watching a video just last week. Who was it that posted it? I don't remember, but basically what it was is he was in Iceland.
Mm-hmm.
The camera that he uses he just uses a basic kit lens,
Mm-hmm.
but the camera fell and broke the lens, and he was doing a workshop, so he had to go out and buy another lens. He ended up buying like a 2.8, but he does like landscape type stuff,
Okay.
and and he ended up, when he got back, he bought another kit lens, and he actually did a video sort of showing the differences between the kit lens and
Mm-hmm.
the high end lens, and for the type of work he did, there was negligible difference. So
Mm-hmm.
basically, he's just going to turn around and sell
2.8.
the high end lens. Yeah,
Nice, nice. You like the kit lens more. That's funny.
yeah, yeah.
Let's see. Alexa says, my hubby, mother, and son are my subjects for now. That's excellent. I did a project for my mom who has breast cancer, so I did a stage by stage of her journey. I hope your mother's all right, Alexis. Documenting something like that can be very, very powerful in a positive way. And I hope everything is okay there, and wish all of the best in her dealing with cancer. Cancer hits so many people, and it's such a crappy thing. Hello to Tech for Your Needs. Welcome to the show. Steve here says, I'm looking to start making Steve Land some side money doing anything photo related. For myself, I want to find and capture some really awesome landscape and night star shots. Ooh, he's got the new 10 to 24 wide angle to help with that.
Nice.
So doing anything photo related, like how then, Steve, have you thought about how you're going to try to approach that? Do you have a plan laid out for that yet? Like, as an example, are you going to try to start hitting up events and shooting events, or are you going to try to pick up portrait work? I know you said anything, but what I'm asking is, like, do you have a plan of attack on that? So let us know what's going on with that. He's got the Tamron 10 to 24. Excuse me.
Well, if it's a new one, it should be good. I've said multiple times I've never been a fan of the Tamron stuff, but anything I've seen and heard, all the new stuff they're putting out is supposed to be quite good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm just not sure if I can convince myself to ever try another Tamron lens again. That's my biggest problem.
No, I get it. Like, you have a bad experience once, and you just want to, like, shy away from it entirely because you don't want to deal with it again.
There's more than once too, so
right. Oh, that's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah. Peter, back to his portrait photography, says, I've asked a couple of friends to model for me. I'm working on an extreme low-budget lighting system, which I understand. Sometimes, though, it's really great. Like, it can be frustrating working with a low-budget setup, but at the same time, that can be actually a lot of fun because when you're working with a limited setup, it forces you to be creative, and that creativity can actually yield some really interesting results, which can be pretty cool.
Yeah.
All righty. Vegas, I'm kind of close. 8 hours by car. Ooh, Jason, that would be cool. That would be super cool.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's the wrong direction for me.
Yeah, I know.
That would be fun.
Okay, so Mark MC says, last year's goal went well. I'm now full manual and know why I'm there. That's awesome. That's really cool. I'm looking forward to seeing your photos evolve, Mark, because I've seen some of your stuff and I want to keep seeing it grow. I love that. Yeah, Mark, I think... Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, Mark just reminded me it was Mike Brown. That's who it was. That's whose video.
Okay, I've seen some of Mike Brown's videos. I don't think I see many of them. I know I didn't see that one, but I'm, like, generally familiar with Mike Brown.
Yeah. He's actually... Recently, he's been a little bit slower putting out videos lately.
Okay.
But maybe he's just a busy person. I don't know. But generally, I do like his videos. They're pretty informative.
Excellent. Let's see here. I think, Peter, you have a flash, don't you? I thought you did. But maybe not. I can't remember. But I know you just said you've got an idea for some LED light strips. All the kind that people put around the headlights of the car, mounted on chicken wire. Ooh, that sounds interesting. That sounds very interesting. Referring to my comment is for a video. I have a YouTube channel, Tech for Your Needs says. That's cool. I'm always up for people and their YouTube channels. I like checking out new channels. Alrighty. Just trying to catch up on the chat here. It was more like the 1,000 versus 200 pounds. Yeah, 200-pound lens. Okay, I just lost your comment, Tech, for your camera question, so I'm trying to find it. There it is. Panasonic Lumix G7. I'm new to high-end cameras. First one. Learned to go full manual. Not there yet, but I'm a work in progress. That's awesome. The G7, I actually have 2 of them. Here's one right here. This is the one, I know some of you have seen it, that I dropped and busted the LCD out of. So this is the one that is now a Franken camera with this monitor when I do shoot with it. But the G7...
Have you tried that setup for an actual shoot yet?
Yes, I have.
Yeah.
I recorded some video with it, and it's working. It's working well. So I'm happy that it's. And when I'm in the new studio at the new house, this is going to be the always setup. I'm going to sit down and just hit record camera for recording my main videos, and then the other G7 I'll pull out, and that'll be my vlogging run and gun on the go camera. So the G7 is excellent, and tech for your needs. If you have any questions, I use it to record my videos. So like if you have any video questions or need any video help, feel free to get in touch with me and ask any questions. I'm always happy to help. And if you have questions right now, feel free to drop them in the chat. Happy to answer those questions. And I'll take a look at your channel after the show. Alrighty. Alexander says, for now I have a 50mm, and as a light I have a 103 umbrella and a 125 watt bulb. And that's a good start, right? An umbrella and a bulb is you know, something that you can work with, and that's great. When you're ready, bringing a flash in gives you even more versatility, because with a flash, you can control for the ambient light and eliminate that if you want, which allows you to do even cooler stuff. So keep working at that. That's awesome. And if you're sharing them online, I'd love to see some of the photos, Alexandra. Again, on Instagram or Facebook, if you guys just get in touch with me, I always like seeing what you guys are shooting. I want to learn how to use an umbrella better. Need to do more test shots. I know the basics. So when you're using the umbrella right now, Jason, like how are you using it, and what do you want more out of it? That's an interesting question. That's an interesting thing, like using an umbrella better, that you're saying. So I'm curious as to what you're trying to get out of the umbrella. Let's see, Clifford. Oh, Clifford, you just got your EM1 Mark II. I remember you just commented the other day. I just remember that with this comment. I started manual only last year on the Canon 70D. My second week with the EM1 in manual mode, enjoying it in the surf, shooting low with the 40 to 150. Oh, God, that's such a beautiful lens. Mark, have you, because your dad shoots Micro Four Thirds, but he doesn't have any of their pro lenses, right? He uses prime lenses. He doesn't have any of their zoom
actually,
lenses.
he has the same pro lens that you got.
Oh, the 12 to 40?
Yeah, I think that's what one it is.
Yeah. Have you handled that lens then?
It's a pretty heavy, big brute, that's for sure.
It is. It's a really, really beautiful lens, and the 40 to 150 is also an excellent lens, built of the same quality. It's really, really fantastic. Yeah, I'm really happy with my Olympus. I've been chatting with Tim on and off, and we've been talking about the Panasonic Lumix G9, and there's the gear acquisition syndrome part of my brain that wants me to get the G9. I don't need it. I'm not going to get it. I am going to try to review it, just because Panasonic has mostly been video forward with their cameras, and this G9 is a specifically photo forward Panasonic camera. And so I'd like to get my hands on one and see if I could review one, and see how well it, how it stacks up, so to speak. It looks like a really good camera. Steve says, I have someone that is trying to get me into a small sports stadium for baseball and some corporate stuff already, waiting to hear. I just put it out there, and it's looking promising so far. That's excellent. Sometimes that's just what happens. You just put it out there, and then you got to see what happens. Yeah. You know what, Tim? If you and Mark hopped in a car and made a trip to Vegas, that would be super cool. But at some point, hopefully later this year, I'll either make a trip up to Canada, because I know a bunch of you guys are up in Canada, or at least make a trip to New York, Mark, for that show. Is that Photo Plus that you go to every year?
Yeah, yeah. I go every other year,
Every
but
other year?
if you decide you're going next year, I'd probably make an exception to the rule.
Right. Just flip the year, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because we've never Mark and I have never met in person,
Right.
and so that's something that we have to have happen sooner rather than later.
Yeah. Even for that matter, like we could even do something halfway, like Niagara Falls or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like I'm not sure how close that is for you, but there'll definitely be shooting opportunities there as well too.
Yeah, I mean it's a pretty long way because I'm, if not for like the Great
Oh,
Lakes.
you're probably you're probably the wrong side of the lake for that, aren't you? That's
Yeah,
right. Yeah.
yeah. If not for the Great Lakes, it would probably be easier for me to get to New York area. But with the Great
Right.
Lakes, it's all the way down and around Michigan.
Right. Yeah.
All right.
Okay, forget it then.
We'll get something worked out.
Yeah, exactly.
Alrighty, so I'm just getting caught up here. Alexis is working on getting the Canon 6D Mark II. That's excellent. Oh yeah, that's a good point, Mark, that you put in the chat here, that you have to be careful with older flashes. Their higher trigger voltages can actually damage newer cameras.
Yeah. You can get isolators to make them work, but it's definitely a pain in the butt.
Right. Jason says, I have both a shoot through and a reflector umbrella. It's really just trying them out in different situations and seeing what sticks. They're basic 36-inch umbrellas. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
I've got to say...
For the most part, I think shoot through and reflective work very similar to each other. I think the biggest difference that I found anyways, that with reflective you get a little bit better control because you can control it so the light's not coming back into the lenses as easily with a shoot through. With a shoot through, the light just goes everywhere.
Right. And I tend to prefer shoot through, mainly because I like that you can put that umbrella, because you're shooting through the umbrella, then the outside of the umbrella, if you want to position that very, very close to a subject for like super duper soft light and dramatic fall off, you can do that. And you can't do that as easily with the reflective, because the reflective surface is of course recessed, and then you've got the whole umbrella stick. So like, the best you can do is get the very edge of the umbrella's post,
right,
just out of frame, and that limits how close you can get that. But both are useful types of umbrellas. Neither one is better than the other. I have my preference for that particular reason, and that's all it is. It's just a preference.
Yeah, some people will only use soft boxes. Some will only use beauty dishes.
Right.
It's just a matter of what you like and what you're used to.
Yeah. So Tech for Your Needs says, I have two extra lenses, 25mm f1.7 and the Vivitar 52mm wide angle, but I need to learn ISO aperture. Yeah, those things are very important. ISO aperture and shutter speed. I mean, those are the keys. And it's pretty much the same for photo as it is for video. The main issue for video is that your shutter speed, you want to think about your shutter speed as it relates to the frame rate that you're capturing in, because that can have an effect on how the video actually looks. So that's something to think about. But again, if you have questions specifically, let us know, and we're happy to answer those. A sync cable, I think you can, if you have a high trigger voltage flash, I think you can get away using those with a sync cable, but don't quote me on that.
I've read mixed things about that. I think I'd still want to use an isolator.
Yeah, because I was just going to say, don't quote me on that, because I don't want anybody to burn out their cameras because I said something that was incorrect. Look, I just got booted out of my YouTube too. Again, what is up with that?
I had that happen 3 or 4 times already.
Oh, that's obnoxious. Well, I'm not going to be able to type anything into the chat, but I can at least still read it. So that's something. Alrighty. Mark and Spyros, yes, there's that, but it's also the difference between diffusion. Yeah, that's true. With the reflector, you can get that silver, which is going to give you a little bit more of a specular highlight on your light, which
absolutely.
is something you don't get out of the
Definitely
diffuser.
a good point.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Steve's cousin is moving to Milwaukee, Wisconsin. That's actually where my dad's side of the family is from, the Milwaukee area. He works for Kroger and is going corporate. He said the drive sucks from Detroit area going around the lakes. It does. It sucks major big time. Because it is. You basically have to drive in a giant U in order to get from Wisconsin to Michigan, unless you take the ferry. But I think the ferry only goes out of Green Bay, if I remember correctly. I've never taken the ferry. I just know there is a ferry. But yeah, it's a crappy drive. When it comes to this Flash, it's a no-go, so I'm going to get something better. I totally understand that. Sometimes you do just got to buy and invest in the gear. So, all right. So we kind of covered a little bit of both your 2017 and your 2018 goals. What and some of your plans for those 2018 goals. So let's do a couple of things now. Number one, I was going to share my goals, and Mark, you kind of shared yours for 2018 already, right?
Yeah, which is basically sort of maintain what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Keep it simple.
Yeah, that's kind of mine. I mean, I've got a few, some that if you watch my bullet journal video, you kind of know about, but not necessarily. Okay, so I'm going to share my goals, and then we can talk about this a little bit more. I've got three goals. Two really. One is to get caught up on my 2017 editing, like I said before, because I'm super far behind on that. And number two is to kind of do what you said, Mark, is in terms of continuing a goal. One of my goals last year was to do more with Photoshop and learn more about Photoshop and learn about compositing and things like that. And I did do more of that last year. I didn't do a lot, but I took a lot of steps in that direction, and I learned quite a bit already. And I want to do that even more. So I need some education, because there are things that I've been doing trial by error, and I can learn fine that way, but I can be more efficient if I have some education. So I'm probably going to look into some Photoshop courses, or spend a crap ton of time watching watching YouTube videos. Yeah,
Learn.
Yeah, Flurn or whatever. There's a couple other channels that make YouTube Photoshop videos that I've been watching in addition to Flurn.
Aaron Nace, I think.
Yeah.
Does Photoshop stuff.
Yep. Aaron does Photoshop stuff, but then there's another Pix Imperfect is a channel I've been watching. I enjoy that guy. And then I don't know how to say the fella's name. It starts with an N. It's like I'm not even gonna try to say it because I'm gonna totally mangle it.
Because you know you'll butcher it.
Yeah, my best guess is he's Eastern European, but I don't know that for sure. So don't quote me on that. But anyway, that's one of my big goals. Is I want to do more with Photoshop. I want to learn more about composite work and things like that. And I have some YouTube goals as well. One of those goals is to hit 100,000 subscribers this year, and
what are you at now?
I just crossed 67,000 subscribers this morning, so I've got 33,000 subscribers to go to hit that. Last year I gained about 17,000 subscribers. So I need to roughly double my rate of subscriber gain to get to that. And
I think anything I've ever read, though, is as your numbers go up, you get more followers.
It's like a snowball effect.
Yeah, it grows faster the further you go, is my understanding.
To some degree, but I just learned this yesterday. I was watching a video, or not watching a video, I'm sorry. I was listening to Pix Imperfect. Yeah, it is good at Photoshop, Clifford. I was listening to a podcast about, how to do better on YouTube. And many of you know, like Jason mentioned this earlier in the chat, in a lot of my videos, I put together like the free PDF that you can get as an incentive to get people to join my email list, because my email list is a way that I can keep connected and let people know about my, photography courses and things like that. And
which I still haven't joined your email list.
That's all right, Mark. I'll forgive you.
Yeah, okay.
But what, and this is so obvious. The minute I heard them say this in the podcast, it was so obvious to me that this is part of the reason that my growth hasn't been all that. My growth is good, don't get me wrong. I average per month about 1,000 subscribers, and that's been rock solid for years on my channel. It fluctuates up and down to some degree, but like almost always I gain around 1,000 subscribers per month. And if I just keep doing what I'm doing, I'm sure that'll basically stay the same. And I would hit 100,000 in 2 years instead of 1 year that I'm hoping. With those free PDFs, and with me saying go to this link, which is not on YouTube, and subscribe to my mailing list to get that free PDF, I send people away from YouTube, and YouTube doesn't like that. YouTube wants people to stay on YouTube watching YouTube videos. So I'm thinking about, one of the strategies that I'm thinking about is actually not doing that the same way that I've been doing it. I'll still probably do some, free PDFs like that, but I'm going to change that strategy to try to get the Google juice in YouTube so that I can get bigger, better, faster growth, but also still, share that with people who want to get that kind of a resource and use it, and join my mailing list and keep my mailing list growing as well.
Yeah. The nice thing with your numbers too is that they're real numbers.
Yes.
Like you get some people out there that buy users and fake it, which I really don't understand that. But
yeah, I don't get that at all. But it is.
You've earned those subscribers.
Yeah. So Alexis has a question related to that, which is how do you get so many followers? And it honestly, the answer is pretty simple, although when I say it's pretty simple, it's also way more complicated than it sounds. And that is really bottom line, just keep making good content and keep trying different things. Because if you are making something that people want to watch and are interested in seeing, and Alexis, I think you must be talking about, are you talking about YouTube or are you talking about something else? Because if you're talking about YouTube, like that's specifically what I'm talking about, although this does apply generally across social media, Instagram, take your pick, whatever.
Yeah. Instagram's bad for getting followers, then unfollow you just because they want you to follow them.
I am not really liking Instagram very much lately. In fact, that's something that I kind of wanted to talk about a little bit tonight, but I didn't put it in our chat. I'm slightly distracted because somebody asked for the other YouTuber, and I'm trying to find their channel. So give me a moment to find that. YouTube and like Instagram, Facebook. Yeah, Instagram does suck. Okay, so
yeah, I think it's the worst out of the bunch that I've noticed. Like Facebook, any followers I get are legitimate followers, and YouTube, I seem to, any followers I get, not that I have a ton, but they seem to be legitimate, and my numbers slowly go up. They don't go up and then go back down. So
right. All right, give me a moment. I'm about to grab the link of the other Photoshop YouTuber that I enjoy watching outside of Flern and
the details and eyebrows.
Pix Imperfect.
Maybe ears too.
Okay, you guys can hear. I'm trying to pause this video. There we go.
That's what happens when you sign out of YouTube.
And now let me see. This is before and after, before and after. I really like it.
Sorry, guys.
We're getting a tutorial.
It's Nemanja. I'm probably saying that wrong. Nemanja Sekulik. I'm going to go to the channel. I'll just share the link in the chat for you guys so that you can...
Today I will show you how to create frost on your images.
Okay. We'll just make that quiet now. All right, NEMNJA on YouTube, and I am signed back into chat. So that's the other photography channel, Photoshop channel. Okay, so back to growing on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, etc., etc. Okay, so YouTube specifically I can talk about. Instagram I can't really talk about so much. All of these platforms use algorithms to curate and, you know, trigger how the content is shared and how much of your audience, the people that follow you, even see that content and things like that. Of the platforms that use the algorithms, at least for me, YouTube is the least evil algorithm, I guess, is the easiest way to say it. And when I say evil, you know, evil's a relative term. Basically what I mean is that
seems to have had the least dicking around. There
yes,
you go.
yeah, and that's,
for lack of a better term.
Yeah, and that's not even to say that, you know, YouTube doesn't dink you around either, but the, you know, Instagram, like, really, Instagram and Facebook are awful for this, like, awful, and that's part of why I really dislike Instagram right now, because to me, when I go on Instagram, it feels like all I see is people who are trying to game Instagram. Not all I see. No, it is actually kind of all I see. I follow lots of people whose work on Instagram I want to see, like Jason, Tim, you know, Mark, you, a bunch of you that are here tonight. I follow you on Instagram, and I basically never see your stuff because the algorithm on Instagram thinks I want to see, you know, yet another teal and orange, you know, whatever, something other, you know.
Something that's completely unrelated to anything you care about.
Yeah, like all I see on Instagram is people who are Instagramming Instagram to be big on Instagram, and I just don't like it. So I'm debating how much time and effort I'm going to put into Instagram at all. Especially,
you've been shying away from it a lot.
I have been shying away from it a lot, partly because I've been busy, but also partly because
it's not in your loins.
Right. I do not have a fire burning in my loins.
Burning in your loins
for Instagram. Yeah, that's a good way to sum it up, Mark. But sorry for that ramble off topic. For YouTube, Alexis, and anybody else on YouTube interested in trying to grow a following, what I really recommend you do is focus your effort on making good content and making it on a regular basis. There are things on YouTube that you need to do and think about, like the thumbnail that you use and your tags and your titles for your videos and stuff like that. But honestly, what you should really do is keep making videos and look at what people respond to, right? Like if you go in and you look at your videos, look at what of your videos has the most views and or has the most likes and or has the most comments. And make more videos like that, because that's the kind of video that your particular audience liked, and Google sees that, and so you make more of that. And while you're making more of that type of video, also try different stuff. But I've talked about this before, but I'll say it briefly again. Like, basically, my whole YouTube strategy for the first 3 to 4 years was I'm going to make a video every week. Like, that was my whole strategy. I'm going to make a photography video every week. And all I did was focus on trying to make a good photography video. Yes, I did, you know, do things like with my tags and stuff like that. But mostly I just focused on trying to make a good video, and that is what allowed me to grow. But also because I didn't spend as much time thinking about what YouTube wants in terms of, you know, titles, tags, the YouTube algorithm. That's why, in part, I haven't seen growth like Peter McKinnon has, as an example, who, you know, Peter McKinnon came on the platform basically a year ago, and, you know, he's got 1.5 million subscribers already. I've been on YouTube for getting close to 6 years, and I haven't even broken 100,000. So That's how you do it, one way or the other. You learn about the platform and put the kind of content on the platform that the platform wants, and or you focus on making good quality content that the people you are trying to target want to watch, and that's how you'll grow on a platform. So that was a long rambling answer, but it's something that's important to understand. All right, so Steve says Instagram is designed to be a mobile app only, hence not really able to post from a desktop. Yeah. Yeah, that's very true. And it's not even, the desktop or the mobile only thing that bothers me about Instagram. What bothers me is what I, mentioned earlier, how Instagram juices up its algorithm, and everybody's gaming the algorithm. So you have like the follow, unfollow people. Instagram shut down that company called Instagress that allowed you to pay them to make robots like and comment on other posts for you as a way to get you followers. But that kind of thing still happens on the platform.
Yeah, it still happens for sure.
And that's another thing that bugs me, because I can tell a genuine interaction, right? Like if I post a photo and Jason or Mark or Peter or, Tim or somebody else leaves a comment, like that's a genuine comment, and I get that. But those comments are often, drowning in nice pic or, 3 different emoji, comments that are nothing comments that came from some kind of a robot with somebody trying to game the system. So
yeah, I had one guy, well, probably a robot actually. I had one picture that was posted, and the first it was posted, and then he made a comment, great photo or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I never followed him back. He just left a comment. I left it. Then a week later, he left the exact same comment. And then a week later, the exact same comment. It's like, dude, I think your robot's broken.
Yeah.
So I just basically
broken robot.
So I don't even see him anymore.
Yep. Jason says that sounds like what Casey Neistat went through with his channel in the earlier years. Yeah, I think it is. Although Casey was more aggressive because he did a video every single day. I did a video every single week. One of the other things that I may try to do later this year, once I get the studio set up, is start uploading a video every day. But what I don't want to do is what we talked about earlier, Mark, when you were talking about your goals, and Mark MC was talking about this as well. I don't want to sacrifice quality for quantity. I want to do good videos. And if I can do good videos 5 days a week, then I'll do that. But if I can't, then I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, better to do 2 great videos versus 5
exactly.
crap videos.
And it's probably more likely going to be 3 to 4 videos a week, including this live show that we're doing right now. But I do want to produce more content on the channel. I do want to do more live streaming on Twitch too. Yeah, Jason says Casey started doing movies and then did vlogs, and then tried to go back to doing movies, and his audience said he was a vlogger only. Yeah, he kind of did, but I think he's pushing back against the vlogger pigeonhole that people are trying to put him in. And he's honestly kind of in a place where he can do whatever he wants. In fact, the video he just put up today was announcing the video that he's going to be putting out tomorrow. It was more than that, but it was basically just a little vlog. And the video for tomorrow is a movie, like a movie that he made versus a vlog. So he said it's something he's been working on for 10 years, really. Jason, I don't know if I'm able to do Prime subs yet because I'm not an affiliate yet because I don't have enough followers, which is part of the reason I want to spend more time on Twitch so I can get to that point where people can Prime sub to me and stuff like that. But I'm not there yet. So it will come available once I get past whatever that threshold is on Twitch.
What's Prime sub versus a regular sub?
Prime sub, if I recall correctly, like I actually get some compensation from Twitch because people pay. if you have Amazon Prime, and because Amazon owns Twitch, you get one free Prime subscription on Twitch, which if you didn't have Amazon Prime would actually cost you $5 a month. And some or all of that money goes to the creator. And so Jason was trying to support me on Twitch with that Prime sub.
Oh, okay.
I am not able to accept that yet because I'm not at that level of followers or whatever on Twitch yet. So, yes. And that I want to diversify. That's part of what I want to do for 2018 is diversify. And I'm trying to pick my platforms, which is why I had been thinking about Instagram, because I don't... One of the things I'm a photographer, right? One of the things I've been terrible at as a photographer over the years is regularly and consistently sharing my photos. I shoot regularly and consistency, and I have what I feel is a really wonderful body of work. And based on what people have said, you know, in responses I get, people like my work as well. But I have not been effective at sharing it. And I was
because you haven't edited it for 3 months.
Yeah. I mean, there is that. There is that.
So I couldn't resist that jab.
Yeah. Somebody want to pull a knife on the back. But I want... This is the problem with the internet, right? Like, I want a place where I can share my content, my photos, and I don't know where that place is. I know it's not 500px. 500px is just as bad at gaming their system. I'm almost positive it's not Flickr. Flickr has been dying a very slow, very long, kind of agonizing death. And I cannot see Verizon putting money into Flickr. There was some hope when Yahoo owned Flickr with Marissa Mayer, but that was a brief flicker of hope, pun intended. And I'm feeling more and more certain that it's not going to be Instagram, just because I see more and more of this gaming stuff, of people trying to game Instagram and get their big following and you know, get their brand deals and whatever else, and become an Instagram influencer. So I don't know where to share my photos. It's not really Facebook. It could be Facebook. Maybe it will end up being Facebook, despite the fact that I kind of don't like Facebook. Facebook outside of YouTube is the social network that I use the most. So it'll probably end up being Facebook, but it won't be a Facebook page, because to me, Facebook pages are totally worthless. So, like, this is one of the things I've been genuinely thinking about as one of my goals for 2018. So, quick survey while we're doing this right now. For all of you who are here, and I know you probably share across several different ones, but if you what would you say is your primary, your number one place where you share your photography, where you share your images? Again, understand you probably share to multiple platforms, but what would you say is your number one sharing platform?
For me right now, I'd say Instagram.
Okay.
I used to use 500px a fair bit, but not so much anymore.
Okay.
And probably after that, I would say Facebook. Like, I think that the what I do is the more family friendly stuff I put on Facebook. The stuff that's a little bit maybe not as family friendly, like boudoir type stuff, then I typically tend to send that to Instagram.
Okay. So I'm seeing we've got a Flickr, Facebook, then Instagram. Facebook mainly, Instagram and Facebook. Oddly enough, the same company. Very true, Peter.
Yeah,
Jason.
Yeah.
Tim says Instagram, but not because I love it, just because it's all I know. Tech for Your Needs is also Instagram. Avalon649 makes a really good point that it's too bad because Flickr is probably the only photo sharing platform with metadata. Does 500px?
500 does. I don't think it's not full, but it'll at least tell you the camera and your settings, but not all the in-depth stuff. And to be honest, I don't know what Flickr does include because I've never used Flickr, but I do know 500 does not strip the basic info out.
Right. I think I haven't, because, I mean, I have a Flickr account, but I almost never use it. But I'm pretty sure Flickr includes almost all the pertinent metadata. So your camera settings, the camera and lens, the focal length. I'm not sure if it includes the mode it was shot in, but like all of that camera info is there. Interesting, Irish Kilt 67 that you share on Twitter. I don't really think of Twitter as a image sharing platform, although you can share on Twitter. Do you get a lot of response from your Twitter shares, Irish Kilt 67? Penny says Facebook, Sandy's Facebook and Instagram. Peter says, unfortunately, Instagram has become a site where photographers share among each others. It's interesting that you say that, Peter, because what I've actually heard other photographers on Instagram or on Flickr say, and this is reading like articles on F-Stoppers or Petapixel or something along those lines, is that Flickr has more become kind of a dumping ground for people who are just backing up, almost backing up their photos there and not really using it to share because they went to that 1 terabyte of space when it was still Yahoo.
Yeah, I guess something else to note is a lot of people are saying Facebook, and with me, like I have my business page on Facebook and I have my personal page. And most of the stuff I end up just posting on my personal page because the business page doesn't get much exposure, for lack of a better term, because Facebook wants you to pay to get it out there. So I don't, as much as everyone says, keep your Facebook page up to date and everything, it's difficult to do that and justify doing it when you know no one's going to see it unless you boost money up to Facebook.
Yeah, and I guarantee that Instagram is going to do that. I guarantee they're going to do that.
Yeah, Instagram, you can boost the posts in Instagram as well too.
But they're not. I mean, they are, but they're not throttling your reach in the same way that Facebook does. So a Facebook page is essentially a business account on Facebook. And on Instagram, you have your personal accounts and you have your business accounts. And right now, like the algorithm is messing with everybody. But it's generally messing with everybody on Instagram equally. I guarantee you at some point, Instagram is going to do the same thing Facebook did, which is deliberately throttle and kill the reach of business accounts to get you to pay money to boost your posts. It's only, in my opinion, it's only a matter of time before Instagram does that with their business accounts. And I have an inkling that it's kind of starting because this is totally anecdotal, but I was chatting with some people somewhere, I don't remember where. I get asked all the time to boost my posts too. I've never boosted a post on Instagram, but what I was about to say is I've talked to a couple people who have boosted posts on Instagram, and they said after they boosted their first post, their engagement and their reach dropped dramatically because now Instagram knew you're willing to boost a post, and now they want you to boost more.
That's sneaky.
Yeah, it's sneaky. So, exactly. Steve says it's always about the money and the pay for the views. And here's this. Okay, coming back around again, coming all the way back around to YouTube. That's, I think, one reason why the YouTube algorithm is less dicking
aggressive
you around,
or ferocious, or whatever you want to call it.
It's because the way YouTube works, yes, they run ads, like, but they don't. The thing on YouTube is like, I have a video and I have my videos monetized, so. Pardon me, at the beginning of a video, you may see an ad. And that's how YouTube makes its money. And so for YouTube, it is in YouTube's best interest for more people to see my video or a video, because that means more people are in theory going to see the ad that the third-party advertiser has paid to run. And so for YouTube, they want more people to see the stuff. Facebook and Instagram, by extension, have taken the opposite turn. They're saying, you as a user and content creator on our platform, you want people to see your stuff. We control who sees your stuff. And so if you want people to see it, you need to pay us. Right? And so that's
sort of opposite of YouTube.
Exactly.
It's the advertisers paying versus Facebook and Instagram, it's the users paying.
Right. And so that's why I feel like on YouTube, you can still make a good go of it, because if you get on there and you create good content and people respond to that content, even if you don't do like all of the YouTube stuff that people say you're supposed to do, like the titles and the tags and the thumbnails and the stuff, which does help. Even if you don't do that, but you make a really excellent video that people like, YouTube's going to see, oh, people like this video. And then they're going to say, okay, well, there are a whole hell of a lot more people watching YouTube, and more of these people are going to like this video. So we're going to show it to them over in, like, you know, the suggested videos on the side or whatever. And that's how you can grow on YouTube. That's why on YouTube, you can just make good content and still be successful, just maybe not, you know, rocket to success like somebody like Casey Neistat or Peter McKinnon did, just by making good content. Where if you go to Instagram and you're trying to share images, the incentives there are different. And so even if you're producing quality content on a platform like Instagram, you're not guaranteed to succeed no matter how good your stuff is, because Instagram wants you to pay them, or Facebook, you know, you get the idea.
Case,
yeah, to get people to see your stuff. Whereas Google wants people to see your stuff, so you'll watch that ad that runs before it, you know, so they can make their money. So we drifted off of goals, but I still think this is an interesting topic.
Agreed.
Let's see. Jason says, completely random, and I have no idea what it costs, but have I considered doing my own ads on YouTube? I have very, very briefly looked at it, like just like literally 30 seconds. I wonder what would happen if I ran an ad, and then like, I'm not going to waste time with that, because you know, I have no clue how. Sure, I could figure it out if I wanted to, but I haven't spent more than like 30 seconds thinking about running my own ads on YouTube, just because for running an ad on YouTube, it would be, if I did that, it would be geared more towards trying to find people who might be interested in my video courses and helping them learn about my video courses, rather than like running an ad on YouTube to try to get people to subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'll just keep putting in the work, because it is already successful and what I'm doing is already working. It's just not, my growth is solid.
Your growth is considered organic growth, isn't it?
It's organic growth, and it's consistent growth. It is not hockey stick growth, you know, if you look at a growth chart. And that's why I always come, when I think about my growth, and I think about how, yes, I would like to do 100,000 subscribers this year as an example. But if I don't hit that, but my channel continues to grow, I'm still going to be happy, because I'm still going to be making videos. People are still going to be watching them. And if I'm still growing, that means I'm still doing it right. And taking the long view is something I always try to do. I do try to pull back, because sometimes you do have to think shorter term, because that shorter term stuff can have longer term implications. But when I look at the long term game, I'm on the right path already. If I just keep doing what I'm doing, I'm going to get there. There's no doubt that I'm going to get there. And so I feel not comfortable in the sense that I'm not always trying to improve what I'm doing on YouTube, but I feel comfortable that I am doing the right things for YouTube, for my growth on YouTube, regardless of the speed of that. So, yeah.
There you go.
There you go. That was, again, a little tangent, but yeah, I have seen ads. Jason says, I don't see many YouTubers, but some, not many, doing their own ads, mostly companies, so I wondered if there was some sort of high wall there. There's not. Like, I'm pretty sure it's super easy to actually run the ads. But it's generally, when I see other YouTubers running ads, they're generally trying to get you to buy a product or something along those lines. And so... like I said, you know, I mean, that may happen in the future. I have video courses; those are products that I want to sell. But right now, it's not something that I'm terribly interested in. Good night, Peter. Glad you were able to join us. Always fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so let's shift a little bit. We talked about your photography goals for 2018. So let's pull it a little bit wider. Since we're talking about social media, do any of you have some sort of social media goal that you have been thinking about or that you want to achieve? I already shared with you my main one, which is to hit 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. If I had to put down a secondary one, it would be to figure out what platform I want to regularly share my photography on. But let us know in the chat.
Your goal is 100,000. I might see if I can get 100.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, you know, it's a good start. What are you at right now, anyway, with your channel, Mark?
I think about 86 or 87.
Okay, so I mean, you're pretty close already. It probably wouldn't take very much effort.
I think this time last year I was probably only around 20 or 30, if I remember right. So.
Okay, and I mean, you did how many videos last year?
No, not including the Blabs.
Right.
Probably 8 or so, 8 or 10.
Yeah. So, you know, that's good growth for the amount of work you put in, which, like you said, you wanted to do some more videos on YouTube, and you did that.
Yeah.
That's perfect. Yeah, it's like a Twitch raid. Go ahead and drop your link into the chat there, Mark, so anybody who wants to can subscribe to you.
I don't know what it is. Let me find it.
Mark's got well, but you don't have a custom URL yet, so you've got one of the gobbledygook URLs, don't you? Just a big long.
Actually,
or do you have Mark Evers Photography?
Well, actually, no. It's something different from before I was me.
Oh.
It's stupid chat thing here. Hold on, here we go.
Jason says facepalm. There it is. Oh, yeah, your ECCS 19. Okay.
Yeah.
Alexis,
I think I need. I can't remember what the number is. I think I need. So many views or so many subscribers before I can change it. I think.
I'm pretty sure it's 100.
Okay.
So if you get there, then you should be all right.
Okay, I'm at 89. That's how many I have. There
okay, 89 subscribers. Yeah. All right, so we need 11 of you, if you're interested, to go over and sub to Mark's channel. Alexa said her goal is to just get her business out there. I'm not a big YouTube, but Facebook locally and Instagram, but not for followers, but for engine response. 90 now.
Yeah.
Probably 91 now, yeah. What if I unsub and sub again?
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, 92 now.
Woo-hoo. Gonna hit it. You'll hit your goal before the end of the first month.
Maybe by the end of the night.
Yeah, that's a good thing. Okay, so like for search engine response, here's a really good thing you can do, Alexis. If you have a website for your business, and genuine. Okay. Well, I'll still share this because this is something that I just learned, again, when I was listening to that podcast, that I was unconsciously doing. But you could do this on purpose, and this will help you on both YouTube and on your website, which is if you have a website that you want people to see, for your business, as an example, for your photography business, offering your services, whatever it might be. YouTube and Google are both search engines at heart. Yeah. And you get good search engine optimization, SEO, Google juice, whatever you want to call it. If you make a video on YouTube and you put up that video and you have, you put a title on that video and then you have some tags in that video, and then you take that video and you embed it in a blog post on your website, and then on that blog post, you use the same tags to tag that blog post and use the title and all of those sorts of things. that's good SEO, and that's going to help drive traffic to your website, which is a way that you can pick up clients. Google juice. Wonder what my marketing friends would say to that. That's what I call it, Google juice. So, like, if you have a website, and I'm looking at your Instagram, Alexis, and I see that you do have a website, one of the things you could consider doing, if you're already doing some YouTube stuff, is to make blog posts, embedding those videos in, and then adding tags to that blog post that match the tags in your video to help drive additional traffic to your website. People can then see your services, and, you know, you possibly pick up some traffic and some clients from that. So that's an opportunity that's out there. This is the kind of stuff that I find frustrating. I like to focus on just making the content. And I hate the time that I have to spend thinking about titles and tags and all of that kind of stuff. But because the internet is what it is, and Google is what it is, and Facebook and Instagram, you have to either do that yourself to some degree, or be willing to have somebody else do that for you, which, you know, you can hire people that will do that for you. That's, you know, I mean, Jason, your marketer friends probably do that. Your marketing friends probably do some of that. Mark, 94 subscribers. It's coming along. So, what are you going to do when you hit your 100 subscriber milestone, Mark?
Wait for them to unsubscribe because
because you never put any videos
out. They're not real. Yeah.
Now, you also, Mark, just made another YouTube channel, but that's not a photography related one, right?
No, and there's nothing there either.
Yeah, it's totally brand new channel. just for funsies, right?
Just to throw junk in if I ever make any junk.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Alexis said, awesome. Will consider and do so. Exactly. I have to think about it. I would never know what to do or say. The thing about that, with what I just talked about, with putting the video on YouTube and putting it on your website, like, I mean, I'm not saying you should make bad videos, because you want to make good videos, right? But it actually doesn't have to necessarily be like this amazing production. It's just the fact that it's in both places that can connect things together and help drive traffic.
Yeah, SEO is a tough thing. I know with my website, I've got some of my videos embedded in, sort of like you're saying, but still trying to get Google to get you in the top of the search when someone Googles something. Like for me, I've been kind of trying to research to see how I can get into the top page of, like, just a photographer in my area, and just trying to tweak things here and there within the website. It can get pretty time consuming trying to figure out what you can do and what you need to change, and experiment with this and that just to try and get the SEO where people or anyone can want it. So
yeah, and I, like I said earlier, I do think about that stuff now. Like, when I'm putting up a video on YouTube, I spend some time researching to try to write a good title for it. I spend time researching, trying to find the right tags to use for it, stuff like that. But I'm not going to lie, I don't like doing it. I kind of hate doing it. And I want either A, somebody else to do it for me, or B, to just not have to do it, because, you know, like Casey Neistat, I don't think he does. I mean, I don't think he hardly does that at all. Peter McKinnon, I know, does tag and, you know, do some Google juicing with his videos. But also, like, when you get to a certain point, you kind of don't have to do it anymore. But you got to get to that point first, and then you have this momentum that you can just roll with. So Sanjay is here, and Sanjay had a question. Please guide me how to use a flash in night, low light, outdoor event photography. So this is fairly easy, and I say fairly easy because it does depend upon the situation. But this is, if you want to shoot flash in low light at an event, you're dealing, as always when you're working with flash, you're dealing with two different light sources. The first light source is the ambient light, and because you're low light outdoor, there's very little of that. You know, if it's an event, there might be some sort of lights. You know, say there's a DJ or some sort of music there, they might have lights. You know, there's going to probably be some sort of ambient light in the area so people can see to some degree. But, you know, it's not going to be very bright. And that's why you're using flash. The second light is your flash. So here's what you're going to do. Number one, you're going to just set your camera settings to deal with the ambient light in whichever way you want. So if you want some ambient light in your shot, then you'll set your ISO, aperture, and shutter speed to expose your ambient light at, say, -1 or -2. And when you do that, you're going to want to set your ISO and your aperture probably to a fairly high ISO and a fairly wide open aperture so that your shutter speed is fast enough for hand holding the camera to take a photo. So let's just pretend, you know, you're at a wedding and you might, you know, you might need to do, say, ISO 3200 with an aperture of, you know, I don't know what kind of lens you have, but let's say you've got a kit lens, so f3.5, and you want your shutter speed to be hopefully something like 1/60th of a second, because with the kit lens, you know, at that longest focal length of 50 millimeters, that you'll be able to get a sharp photo, and 1/60th is pretty safe for freezing moving subjects in general, right? And let's say that gives you a -1 exposure on the ambient light in the scene, right? So it's too dark, but you still get some light from the scene just because, you know, it's underexposed, but it's not, you know, totally black, right? That's fine. You've got that set now. You know you can get a sharp photo and you have some ambient light in the scene. Now you bring the flash in. And if you're doing what would be called, you know, this generally would be called run and gun photography, because you're going to be running around the event, taking pictures in different areas. You can do your flash one of two ways. The easier way is going to be having a TTL compatible flash, because TTL compatibility means that the flash basically runs in auto with the camera, and the camera will set the power of the flash for you. And then all you got to do is put the camera on the flash, put it in TTL mode, and run around and shoot with it. And generally speaking, the exposure from the flash should be pretty good on your subjects. You may need to use the flash exposure compensation to make it a little brighter or a little darker if you want to, but it'll probably do okay as is. Now, the other thing you'll want to do is probably put some sort of a diffusion tool on top of your flash, because just pointing your flash directly at the subjects is going to be ugly, because that's like pointing a fire hose in somebody's face and just blasting them. So that's what I would recommend you do. Get something like, you know, I don't like it, but the Gary Fong light sphere is something people use. I would use the F-Stoppers flash disc or a cheap knockoff F-Stoppers flash disc. And I actually have a couple videos on my channel about, we did that video where we did we do that live?
Yeah, we did a Blab, and then you also did your own video. No, I didn't plug it. So anyway, that's what I would recommend. You have, and Mark, you probably do a little bit more of that type of photography than I do, because you shoot some weddings and you do some second shootings and stuff. So what would you add to that? Well, basically what you said, but I guess there's kind of two approaches. Depends sort of on the size of the room. Like some people will basically take a few flashes and just try to light up the whole room, which is doable, or basically like what you said, is basically expose for the ambient, and then just use the flash to fill in. But you know, the biggest problem with doing it that way is then you're still shooting at a higher ISO, but that's probably the more preferred way, because otherwise you lose the feel for the venue.
Exactly. And
that's probably the easiest way to describe it.
Right. And if you want to get a little fancier, for lack of a better word, right? Like if you're in the venue, and let's say the venue has a lot of warm light, if you're using that that setup I just explained, you're going to get some of that warmth and ambient in your shot because of your exposure settings, even though, like I said earlier, it's going to be a little bit underexposed. And what that does is that helps set the atmosphere and the ambience of the scene and gives you a feel for being at the event. Now, your flash is going to be cool, not cool, it's going to be actually just clean white light. But compared to the warmth of the light in that particular example scene that I'm talking about, the flash is going to look very different because it's neutral. So it's going to look cool or cold compared to the warm light in the scene. What you would want to do in that scenario is throw a warming gel on your flash to bring it more in line with the ambient light in the scene so that it looks more seamless and it looks more natural in terms of the lighting and the feel of the scene that you're in.
Yep.
So that's another thing you can do with that. Now, Clifford said, doesn't TTL slow the sync speed? It does not. Using a flash on your camera does put you at the point where you cannot shoot a faster shutter speed than your sync speed, which on all cameras is somewhere between like 1/160th to 1/250th. Like that's an average sync speed range. Right. So that would mean you cannot shoot faster than that. But if you're in low light and you're including the ambient, that's probably not going to be an issue. You're probably not even going to get close to that sync speed because you are including some of that ambient light in the scene.
Mm-hmm.
And Steve said, what about using the flash as a shutter to freeze a subject at slow shutter speeds? You can do that. The issue is, though, depending upon the shutter speed, even with the flash, you can still get some ghosting or blur in that ambient light. Because if you're shooting, a person in that scene, the person might be sharp because the flash hit them and the flash froze them, but the flash is not going to light up an entire room. And all of the ambient light that you're capturing from the room, that background, that ambient, that will still end up being blurry if you're shooting at a shutter speed that is too slow for you to get a handheld shot. So,
but it can be a neat effect. I've done it before.
It can be, yeah. And that's not, it's not to say you shouldn't ever do it, but it's not going to give you sharp photos unless your flash is literally filling the entire room. And that's the scenario where you were talking about earlier, Mark, where you might have 3 or 4 that are filling the room, and then you could get away with that. Yeah. Okay. Now, Sandy said, I was thinking about getting a Paul C. Buff Einstein flash, but it doesn't have high-speed sync, and it just talks about flash duration. She says, what's the difference and what's better? Okay, so flash duration and high-speed sync they're related, but they're 2 different specifications. Flash duration, essentially, is getting to the power of the flash, how bright it is. So when it says, the flash duration, it's another way of saying this flash is this bright. They also rate these in watt seconds because it's how many watts of power you put out in how many fractions of a second or whatever it is. So the flash duration is how much power it puts out in that small period of time, and that's just a rating of the power itself. Whereas your high-speed sync, of course, is the flash function that... Oh, awesome Beat Boy. No need to apologize. Questions like this are always welcome, so don't worry about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's what we're here for.
Even though we have a particular topic, we always end up going off on tangents in these talks. That's what we're here for.
Yeah.
So anyway, high-speed sync is the specific function that allows you to shoot above your sync speed, because what happens is the flash, instead of shooting one duration it pulses
like a strobe,
like a strobe, so that it can fully expose the image sensor as the curtains travel over it. And if you guys
it's usually not as much power output, though.
Yeah, it has to lessen the power of the light so that it can pulse, versus just being able to blast all of the light out in one dump. So, I looked at Einstein's as well, but I didn't get them because at the time I didn't really have the budget to spend on them, and I ended up getting the AD200s that Hey IME says he's gear lusting for. She. I misgendered again. My apologies. Twice tonight. I try not to do that.
Actually, the first one was right. Actually, she was the she.
Okay, so I did. Okay, good. So Hey IME says I'm gear lusting for the AD200 just because. I won't buy it yet though. I'm gonna take your advice and use my gear until I need something more powerful. That is good advice. But I have 3 AD200s and I love them and they are amazing. And when you are ready, definitely get the AD200 because it is a wonderful, wonderful flash unit. It's fantastic.
Awesome Beat Boy. His question was different, as Tim pointed out. He was asking about the D750 and the recalls. I guess he just bought a new one, so he wasn't sure whether or not his was affected or not. And that's actually difficult to say. Mm-hmm. You'd have to go onto the Nikon site, and they'll actually, on the Nikon site, they'll tell you what serial numbers are affected.
Yeah. So I would guess if it's a brand new one, like if it came recently from Nikon, it's probably okay. But if it's one
been sitting on the shelf for a while, then
right. Now I would think if they did a recall, then the retailers would take their stock and send it back to Nikon. But I don't know if that's something that actually happens. So I would do exactly what Mark said. I would take I would go to the Nikon website, find the recall site, punch in your serial number, and see if it is actually under recall. And if it is, send it in, get it fixed. It's a rock solid camera. Yes, recall issues. It happens. It happens more to Nikon than it seems anybody else lately, honestly.
But it does happen to other
But it does happen to
brands.
other people too. So, it's just a thing that happens. Okay, so somebody had a question with the flash again. How does it shoot at like 1/8000th without HSS? Okay, so the 1/8000th, that's the flash duration. That's actually how long the flash is emitting light when it does a full power firing. So
it's almost like a bell graph, I think. A cheap flash will have like just a regular bell curve like that, but if you have a better flash with a good duration, it'll go up, and then instead of coming down gradually, it'll come up and just drop like a rock.
Mm-hmm. So you get that power peak, and then it just boom dies.
Yeah, then it's just gone.
Right. So yeah, that's
that's good for like if you have something in the studio. Like if it's just somebody dancing, who cares? But if you got something with faster action going on, like maybe someone's flicking a deck of cards and you want to catch those, then the faster duration is better for stopping that in motion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was going to say something related to that too, and I forgot what it was. Oh, I know. I was just talking about what it is. So that this is what's irritating about gear like this, because there is not a consistent way that information about flashes and strobes is communicated, right? We've talked about this before, so I won't spend a ton of time, but speed lights, the power level of the flash is given to us as a guide number, which is actually a measurement of distance and how effective that distance is basically how far away, the furthest away a subject can be from your flash and still be lit by the flash under certain settings and conditions, right? So with a speed light, we're measuring the power in a distance, as in this flash can reach this far under optimum conditions. And then you get into, you know, quote unquote studio lights, and they start talking about watt seconds, you know, 500 watt seconds, 600, 800, 1000 watt seconds, right? And that's literally how much power it can draw and dump out of the capacitors into the flash. And
but even with the watt seconds rating, it's not that accurate, because I was watching a video. I think it was Mark Wallace did. I don't remember if it was on his own channel or whether it was on Adorama, where he had like different studio strobes all rated the same,
and they were all different.
But yeah, they were all different. they're all across the board.
So there's that, and then there's the duration, which is another way of saying, you know, this is how much power this flash can put out, because the duration of the flash changes at the different power levels, right? So at full power, the flash is actually going to be firing for the longest duration, because it has to put more light out for more amount of time to give you all of that power.
Yeah.
So that 1/8000th might be the slowest that the flash actually operates. And when you turn it to half power, then it would be like 1/16,000th. And at, you know, quarter power, it would be 1/32,000th, and so on and so forth. Because at those lower powers, it's just got to flick a little bit of light out, as compared to where it's at full power.
Yeah, and that's probably actually a good tip, is if you are trying to freeze some motion in the studio and you can't do it, turn the power down on your flashes. A lot of people think, oh, I need more power to freeze it, but it's the other way around.
Right. Yeah, and there's a balancing point, because when you get too low, then you start to you're getting underexposed, especially if you start you know, messing with, depending on how your camera settings are set. So you got to find the right power point for that. But yeah, that's a good point, Mark. So yeah, the 8200s are really good. Ooh, Jason's got a question for you, Mark. What are your thoughts on the state of Pentax?
Well, I think people have been saying it for 10 years, 20 years, that it's all doom and gloom for Pentax, but they just keep going and they keep going. It's like the Energizer rabbit.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
they're not quick to put new models out, but they're not a big company like Sony and Canon and Nikon, so they prefer to put out a camera that's at a lower price point but offers more features.
Yeah. And to make an analogy that may or may not be accurate, you could say that Pentax is kind of like me on YouTube, right? Like, they're doing its thing, slow and steady and consistent, has their loyal people, grows some consistently, but isn't Peter McKinnon.
They're not interested in taking over Canon and Nikon. They're just, if people switch over to them, great. But like Steve said, they had their loyal fans. And that's really all they care about.
Yep. Yeah, Geraint H said of the 8200, absolutely brilliant, loves it, but be prepared to suffer with a bit of gear acquisition syndrome. I ended up spending $500 buying soft boxes and stands. I haven't bought any soft boxes for my 8200s, but those of you who have watched me shoot, you know that I tend to shoot more harder edged light. And so I don't often pull out soft boxes and umbrellas anyway. But I know one of the things people really love about the 8200s is you can get that Bowens mount adapter, and you can use anything that runs the Bowens mount, which is a good amount of stuff that's pretty reasonably priced too, isn't it, Mark?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's kind of the brand name generic stuff, I guess, is probably a good way to put it.
Right, yeah. Let's see. Steve says, without high-speed sync, you could do hypersync, which is a single long-duration flash for that time, not like a strobe. Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know I understand the concept. I've never used a flash that has that capability. Basically, what that is a flash that, okay, so you're shooting for 1/500th of a second, let's say, okay, and your sync speed is 1/250th. After 1/250th, and this is why and how this works. After 1/250th, what happens is, your first curtain opens. And before the first curtain is open all of the way, the second curtain starts to come up behind it, and you just have a little slit that is running over the sensor, exposing in pieces, right? And what hypersync is going to do, and this is going to be a powerful unit to do this, is if the flash duration at full power is 1/8000th of a second, that light only exists for 1/8000th of a second, which is very fast compared to 1/500th of a second, right? And what hypersync is going to do is put out light for the duration of 1/500th of a second. Now, if it can do that at full power, that would be a monstrous light. But I would imagine hypersync is going to be a drawdown in power and compensate with that longer flash duration. So then for the entire 500th of a second, you get that flash of light. And in essence, what happens is the flash acts for just the time period of the photo like an ambient light, because it is exposing for the entire time of the shutter speed versus that very brief pop at the very beginning of the shot.
Yeah, that's one thing I don't understand is, especially with the newer mirrorless cameras, is that a lot of the newer ones you can shoot with silent shutter, which basically means that the shutter is open all the time. So if the shutter's open all the time, why can they not use a flash to light the whole scene, because you don't have the curtain anymore?
With some of those silent shutters, you can actually sync at higher sync speeds.
Oh, can you? Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what the limitations of them are, but it is higher than your standard, curtain limited sync speed.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, not that many that can do the hypersync, Steve says, which makes sense because, like I said, that would be a powerful unit, especially if you're getting it at that full bore. All right, so what else we got here? Let's see. Mark says, I've seen a video that explained you can do high-speed sync with a regular flash with the flash set to lower power. That might be that you're kind of running into a hypersync situation where you're finding a longer duration, lower power flash burst. I'm not sure how else that would work. Let's see. Hey, Aimi asks, have I done a video showing the different effects of modifiers with off-camera flash, like umbrellas and softboxes? I have not. I did do that. That's
a good idea.
That's a good idea. I did do the video showing the difference between the different on-camera flash modifiers, like we talked about earlier, but I've never done that. I should actually do that. That's a video I'm going to make. I'll need to get a proper softbox, because right now I have an umbrella. I would need to get a reflective umbrella so I could show the difference between a reflective and a shoot-through. And then I have what's generally referred to as an octabox or a brawly box, which is an umbrella turned into a softbox. It is actually a reflective umbrella, but then it's got a diffusion surface on the front to turn it into a softbox. But I don't have like a proper rectangular softbox. And then, of course, I have flags, my grids, and a snoot. So I'll have to do that. That would be a really good video. Thank you. Hey, IME, that's a really good idea.
Right down.
I will do one. I will do one. Yeah, in fact, yeah, let me see if I can bring up my video. Let's see, notes. Okay, Jason says, what's the difference between an octabox, like you called it, and a parabolic umbrella.
One's deeper, isn't it? I think the parabolic is deeper.
Yeah, the parabolic is deeper, and a parabolic umbrella may or may not have a front diffusion surface. And an octabox, regardless of the size and shape of the umbrella, will have a front diffusion surface. But a parabolic may or may not have that front diffusion surface. And the parabola is going to change the shape of the light as it reflects outward, because the more conical that umbrella is, the more tightly focused to some degree that light's going to be.
I think they're more expensive too, aren't they?
They are more expensive, yeah. As far as how they behave, I have to tell you, I don't really know. I've never used a parabolic, so I would have to see if I could. The downside to trying to do a video like this is I have to acquire the different modifiers to do the comparison, and so I'd have to see how much some of this stuff cost to see if I could budget it in to get some of these things and actually do a video like this. But I like the idea, and so I am going to make a note of doing this flash modifier comparison video. Okay, it's in my notes. And coming back around to the bullet journal, I just put it in my notes app, because now what I'll do in the morning is go through my notes and jot that down into my video idea. Yeah, the deeper the box is, parabolic, more direction of the light. Right. So, which makes sense. Basically, more, you're focusing that light more in the same way that when you change, when you put a snoot on, or if you have a speed light with a flash zoom, when you move the zoom head in and out of the flash head, you're changing the parabola essentially of the flash head, and tightly focusing or widening that beam. And so with the parabolic, you're going to get a more focused beam of light, but relative to the size of that umbrella and the parabola in it. Thank you, Steve. Hey, ABD, how's it going? Just joining the show. We're getting ready to wrap up.
Just getting ready to wrap up.
Yep. So, did we miss any questions? Let's see here. Let's see, Geraint. It is the first time. Am I saying that right, by the way, Geraint? I apologize if I'm not. It is the first time I've used an off-camera flash in anger. What is that about? Did I miss something here? You have to tell me what that means. I also bought a selection of modifiers, Snoot Dome, Beauty Dish, and a 48-inch softbox. Nice. My favorite modifiers are my snoots, not my snoots, I'm sorry, my grids and my flags. I don't shoot soft light very often. It's not really my style. When I do, I tend to go with a Beauty Dish, and that's generally when I'm doing my clean white setup. But I really, really like light that has an edge to it. And so I tend to shoot and use my flags and my grids more to control where my light's going, rather than, to soften or change or shape it, so to speak. I mean, I am shaping it by controlling it where it's going, but I'm not one who's as into soft light. It has its place, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying people shouldn't shoot soft light, but my style, as I know those of you who've watched me shoot live with Angela have seen, that I'm not. Yeah, that was a fun shoot, Steve. I'm not a guy who breaks out the diffusers very often. And what's funny too is, like, I'll go into a shoot and I'm thinking, this might be a good shoot for me to use some soft light. And so I'll break out one of my octaboxes or maybe an umbrella or whatever, and pop it on, and I'll take a couple shots and be like, oh God, I don't like this. I just don't like this at all. I hate it. And I pull it off, and I'll go back to a grid or a flag or something, depending upon what I'm doing. Good night to Avalon, and I think Clifford might be taking off. I'm not sure. I always used my flash in TTL and mostly on camera, bouncing off walls. Okay. See, I almost never shoot TTL flash. I can't remember the last time I did shoot TTL flash, to be perfectly honest.
Probably the photo blab we did where we were demonstrating TTL.
You know what? I think it was. That was the last time.
It took you 20 minutes to figure out how to set it up for TTL.
Right, because I hadn't used it in so long. Yeah, I agree, Steve. The Punisher would not have worked with soft light. Would not have worked at all. I love how those photos came out. I'm really, really happy with those. And we're going to be doing more of that kind of stuff, too, once I get into the new studio and I get caught up with my editing. More body paint shoots with Dan and some stuff like that. Okay.
Cool stuff.
That's a show. It's 8 o'clock, gang. Whew.
Or 9 o'clock.
Or 9 o'clock on your end. Yeah, Steve, I'm with you on that. I love that. I love that shot with her tossing the bullets up in the air. That was like, supremely good. Oh, did you not see the Venom that I finished up? Jason, I'll have to shoot it to you on Facebook so you can take a look. Oh, 6 p.m. for Alexis over in Vegas. 2 a.m.
for Mark.
Okay, Jason, I'll shoot a message to you after the show here. All right, thank you, everybody, for joining us. We appreciate the heck out of it. This is the new day and time for this show. Used to be Wednesdays. Those of you who are regulars know. It is now going to be Thursday evening, starting at 6 p.m. Central Standard United States time, 7 o'clock for Mark. You guys got your time zones. But thank you so much for joining us. If you have a topic suggestion for us, let us know. You can reach me or Mark on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Take your pick.
Just post it in the group, whatever the case is.
Whether or not we like them, we're on the different platforms.
Yeah.
And Mark, you have any last words you want to add?
Nope, I'm good.
All right. Well, everybody.
Good to be back.
Yeah, it is good to be back. Okay, so don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and if you didn't already earlier, subscribe to Mark's channel.
95 now.
95. Woo! All right. We will see you guys next week. You'll see me next Tuesday with a new video. And this Friday, I will be on Twitch editing as well, so watch out for that. Thank you, everybody, very much. We appreciate the heck out of your time, and we love you. Have a great night. Bye.
Night, everyone.